Hey everybody, welcome back here to my channel and today to building my own monster part 2. If you don't know already, Monster is a B&M inverted roller coaster located in Grönalund, Stockholm, Sweden, and I just wanted to do my own version of it, which this is what this build is inspired by. And there is recently actually a POV video released of Monster, the real ride. It looks awesome. So if you want to go ahead and just give me a subscribe to this channel and a thumbs up for this video, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps me out and supports the channel amongst the YouTube algorithms and all that jazz. So yeah, basically today I'm going to go in and just do this brake run tunnel. The real Monster has an underground station, and so I wanted to do something very similar. So I have the kind of sloped brake run going down into the floor, and I made it really difficult for myself and I put it on a diagonal. So I need to kind of conquer that. So I'm kind of just doing like this diagonal sloped roof from Shy Guys 4 set to kind of be like a platform underneath. I've got some of the in-game vanilla walls there, and then I'm just going to tidy up the edges with some path covers, etc., and kind of hide it a little bit and do some custom supports, that kind of thing. Just make it look really neat and tidy, a bit realistic. So the aim of today's episode is basically going to be doing the like the brake run, like I said, tidying up the kind of tunnel where the lift hill comes out of, doing a little bit of path work, and I'm going to start work on the main building, which is like the Marina barbecue house building, which I'll get into just in a second. So I'm doing the little monorail trick again, which I did in the last episode. It has no collision, so I've put it there just to make that spine on the B&M track thicker. On the brake run, it looks way more realistic. I think it looks great. So I've just done that as well on the lift hill and on the brake run. Now I'm just going in and doing some custom supports. I find when doing custom supports, it can be very tedious when you do supports for the whole ride. And I've kind of done it so many times now where I've got like a method for it, and I kind of do a section at a time. So if I work on the lift hill, I do the supports for the lift hill, and then I'll do something else in the park. And sometimes when you're building a park, maybe some of the supports that you build might be in the way of a building that you might want to put down. So I kind of wait now until everything's kind of formed around the coaster, and then I can kind of see where the supports would go, etc. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time building some and then having to delete them and redo them again. So yeah, I kind of do it as I go along, piece at a time, section of track at a time, and before you know it, you've done the whole coaster and it's done, and you haven't sat there for hours doing all the supports in one day. So it's kind of something that I have kind of found myself doing. I really love doing custom supports because I just think it makes the coasters and all the rides in this game, when I custom support them, just makes them look so much more realistic and just adds the extra element of detail and realism to them. So I always, as you know, if you know me from Discord, you know I love some custom supports, whether it be made out of beams or whether it's just some scenery that holds up the track or something, a creative way of supporting the track. Yeah, you know I love it. Anyway, going ahead over to the marina area, I wanted to do two like piers and do some boats on there. So I've just popped down some boats. I'm going to change them slightly later on, but yeah, you get the idea of how that's going to look. And also I'm putting some buoys around kind of where the track and the drop is on the water. I don't want any boats maybe out on the water to go underneath the track and cause a hazard. So that's the logic behind putting that kind of fence, as to say, there. Add some splash effects there across the water just to give it kind of that ocean kind of sea look. This park now, I am basing it off of Grönalund in Stockholm, which is kind of like, it's in the city, it's down at the harbour, and there's a park on an island that goes out onto the sea, and which is very different to me if I compare that to like a British seaside park. So I wanted to capture that kind of look that they have in Sweden, where it is a theme park on the water rather than having like a British seaside park, which is a bit more tacky and you know, got more like carnival, fairground type rides and stuff. I wanted to make this more of a theme park on the sea. So this is why I'm kind of trying to make it look pretty neat and tidy, kind of finish up some of the areas a bit more, and kind of create that little harbour there on the side. I'm actually putting in some planters here, which I think will kind of go out on the water, which kind of give it a little bit of green as well. Otherwise, there's not much green in this park. So I thought that was a nice way to include some trees and some bushes there along the waterfront. But like all the buildings in this park, I want them to look like permanent buildings that have been there for a long time. I want this whole park to have a feel and a style of being like a permanent theme park that's just near the sea. I don't want it to have this kind of carnival pop-up kind of look to it. So that's kind of what I'm going for. All the rides in this park, I want them to be nicely themed, or I don't want to say, not themed as in like a story, but themed as in like have this nice classic look, but they still be permanent rides. Like do nice kind of features on top of some of the tower rides, that kind of thing. Make nice kind of round platforms and do nice lighting and that kind of thing, just to kind of give it this grand kind of style to it. I did like a funfair park back along. It's on my channel somewhere, where I did kind of make that kind of pop-up look, carnival funfair type thing, which is doable in the game. I want to do the opposite to that in this. So right now I'm going in and doing what I'm calling the barbecue house, and this is basically a building that's going to have like a barbecue. You can go in there and grab food if you're in the park. It's also going to be like the main kind of clubhouse where the marina is, so people who own the boats maybe have like a membership there or something. That's kind of the logic behind it. So I just wanted to get that building done. I went on Google and typed in some like marine club type buildings and got a couple of references, and I'm using those to kind of build this building, taking some of the styles from that. I also had something in my head as well, how I wanted it to look. And I just think it's really nice to have this big kind of building here where they serve food as well. A big nice food outlet in the park, which is also right on the water, which I think it just kind of makes a nice combination to have that barbecue at the sea. I wanted to have like an upstairs and a downstairs, and I have the upstairs area have this nice kind of like large kind of terrace area where there's like a barbecue where you can have your food. And then on the back of that, I'm going to go in and do like another kind of seating area on the back side of the building, which kind of interacts with the coaster, which I'll get onto very, very soon. This is real basic. I'm just basically popping down some like shapes, some pillars, using the squares from shapes there to make the pillars, and then just using some fences and some path covers and the in-game vanilla roofs there, just kind of stacking them up and seeing how that looks. I kind of struggled with the colors on this a little bit. I've kind of got to a place now where I'm happy with it, but during this I did change the shades of the colors a little bit, played around with more some kind of like turquoise colors as well in there, and I don't know, a little bit strange, but when the whole part came together it did actually look okay. To tweak them slightly, but I wanted this to be detailed, but I don't know, I feel like I didn't add enough detail to this building in a way, and I've kind of gone back in and tried to add a few little more bits to it, try and make it look a little bit better. But I am happy with the building. It's not my best building that I've ever made, but it definitely turned out in a way how I wanted it to. Maybe just not quite as detailed as I would have liked. I wanted to try like a curved staircase thing going up to the top level. So I've taken like the disc from Shapes and I'm kind of making it slightly bigger and then taking it down a little bit at a time to try and create this kind of curved staircase kind of concrete thing. You see them sometimes, so I thought that'd be quite nice, and I put some lights up each step as well going up, so I thought that'd be a nice little cool thing to add there, something I haven't done before, so something new. And then I'm just doing that as well on the front just to tie it in, and then adding in also some shapes at different levels there just to kind of create like a difference between the building and the paths. And then going up the left there, I'm going to do some like some stalls, some like food outlets, smaller food outlets, and then I'll do some couple rides on that side as well. And then the inside of the park is obviously the coaster, a few backstage areas, that kind of thing. So I'm just at the moment just carrying on working on the facade here of this barbecue marine house building, trying to make it look a bit more special, adding a few little more pillars in there just to try and break out those flat textures and add a bit more depth to the building. Add some canopies on the windows, etc. And yeah, that's basically the front of it. I like to get the front of the building done first, and then I figure out the back later on. I feel like the back's not as important as the front. Well, the back is important, but once I've got the style of the front done and I'm happy with kind of how that's looking, then I can kind of go on and kind of figure out the back of it. Also, the coaster in the back of this building comes very, very close, so I have to figure that out as well. I think I'm going to go in now and add some tables and chairs, just where people can have their barbecue, sit down and enjoy the weather and have their food. And then also I'm going to add there's like a really cool barbecue prop in the Props Galore mod, so I'm going to add that in as well in a second. I think I do that about now. That was just a nice little detail I wanted to add in there. Or maybe I do the roofs now. I can't remember which order I did the things in, but I do those roofs, the in-game roofs, they are great, but they just lack so much like texture and something, and just to kind of make them look not so flat, I've put like a beam on the foregrid, like up each part of the roof, just to kind of make it look a little bit better, because I'm not a big fan of like these flat plain colors that haven't got any texture to them, so I try to add something to them just to make them look a little bit better. I think that it kind of did the trick there with doing that. I do that very often as well. It's not something new that I've done. Here I'm playing with color. I tried to make it orange, but it didn't look good, so I've gone back to turquoise. And I'm going to fully light all this area as well. Add some lanterns and some different lighting and stuff around this area to make it look really pretty as well at nighttime. Just doing the entrance now from the kind of the transition from like the coaster into like the barbecue marine club area. So I'm just doing like a nice little archway. I kind of want to make it look like there is a difference between the main part. Even though this is a part of the main park, I still kind of want to make it a little bit different so you can tell this is actually like maybe like a marine club area. I don't know if it's really clear, but that's the logic in my head. So I wanted to do like a nice little entrance there, do a little sign, so that guests can kind of see that they're walking into that kind of area. So maybe there are other people in there that aren't with the park that own a boat. I think I just put some planters down as well, so I can add some foliage along here as well. I think it's really important to get some foliage into a park, no matter what theme you're doing or what style of park you're doing. Get some trees and some bushes in there. It really just breaks up everything and adds an extra layer of detail. It was really important for me in this park to get foliage put in where I can, especially around like the waterfront and stuff. I wanted to add lots of planters, have trees and bushes. I think it's really important to do that. So I did that. Here I'm just adding like some path covers, but I've colored them to make them look like grass. And this can just like hide some bushes and stuff along that kind of path, because there's a diagonal path there, which looks weird if you don't cover it, I think. So I've just covered it so it looks clean. Put some trees and bushes in there. It also kind of hides that transition as well for that staircase up to the building. Just going to carry on doing some more foliage, and I'm just going to carry on as well doing a few more little details on the barbecue house, and then I shall get back to you once that's kind of done. So as you can see there, I just went ahead and did some lighting. So now I'm working on the back of the building. And so the coaster dips down here to do a, what's it called? An Immelman. And so it's on a diagonal, which is awkward always to build on a diagonal, but there we go. I always make things more complicated for myself. So I'm currently building like a trench so that coaster can dip down low into the ground. I hate the in-game tunnels. I just think they don't look good. So I always try and cover them, hide them, or I get rid of them by digging the floor down. So that's what I've done just there. Then I thought it'd be a really cool idea to like extend like the back of the building as like a terrace area and have that kind of going over the top of the coaster to create a tunnel. Adds a nice interaction on the coaster, but also gives a nice kind of area for guests to sit and have food and maybe be close to the coaster. I think that's like a really nice thing. Something I definitely enjoy at a theme park, if I can sit and have my food somewhere. I'm thinking now of like Black Mamba at Phantasialand. You can always grab your food there at this little food station. And there's areas where you can sit and have your food, and Black Mamba is literally right underneath you or going beside you and stuff, and I really, really enjoy that. It's the same with Taron actually at the park. You can have food in by Taron, and you're literally sitting right by the coaster, and I love that kind of interaction with guest seating areas and having food. So again, here I'm adding one of those really cool barbecue props from Props Galore, which is a mod that you can download on the Steam Workshop. And then I'm adding in some tables, which I can put some food on, and put some chairs and some umbrellas, that kind of thing. I also need to think about the coaster above this area. I wouldn't want any kind of loose articles to fall from people and land on the people having their food. So I'm going to think about putting some coaster nets there as well, see how that looks. Maybe you can't take loose articles on the ride like always anyway, but you never know, people like to have their phone or whatever in their pocket. Maybe I'm going into a bit too much kind of detail and thought with it, but that's kind of things that go through my head when I'm building these kind of things. Like I'm thinking about what would be there in real life. If there was a seating area underneath the coaster, there would be some sort of protection or canopy from something. Maybe someone's shoe fell off, that kind of thing, you know. These are the kind of things that go through my head when I'm building and doing these kind of realistic builds. So I'm adding in some nice kind of flags and bunting there, which I think always looks really pretty. This is just to dress it up a little bit, add some lighting on those poles as well, just to make it a nice cozy area. This would be really cool at night time, I think, if you have guests kind of on this little terrace here at the back and you've got the coaster running in the dark. That'd be really, really cool. So that's basically this terrace area done. I'm just kind of making the floor look like concrete there underneath the tunnel area. I'm going to add some smoke in there, maybe add some fog, make it a little bit more mysterious and atmospheric when the train goes through there. Just adding in some gates here for the boats. I wouldn't want any park guests to go down to the boats if they're not their boat, you know, so I was just thinking about that as well. In real life, how would that be? Maybe the owners of the boats have a key for those gates. So that was my logic there. And then just to finish up today's little update on this, I'm just doing some custom supports here on the Immelman element, kind of just adding those in, kind of trying to figure out where they would go, how I can squeeze the supports in around this terrace area. When I'm building theme parks as well, you know, in the game, I really like to think about the timeline of the park and what maybe was in the park first and how things would be. So I feel like this coaster would be a modern addition to this park. So I try and make the park or the map look like this is a new addition. So I have to try and figure out what was there before this ride. So maybe this building was there before, maybe some of the other flat rides that I'm going to build were there before. And how was this coaster kind of integrated into the park without disturbing what was already there? So that's kind of something that also goes through my head when building. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm pre-planning ahead in my head with what's going to be there and how it will look and where these supports are going to go. Is it going to disturb something that might have been there already, that kind of thing? So it's something I think about when building as well. I'll talk about that more in another episode when there's a more obvious kind of thing to talk about. I think I'm going to do like a vintage old cars ride. I think that will look really good and really fit well into this type of park. So that is definitely something I'm going to talk about more when I build it, because I think that ride would be there before this coaster was. So I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail in another episode. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this today, this little update of building my own monster. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help out my channel. And I'll see you all next time for another episode here of Building My Own Monster. Bye!